And there's the note.
And there we are. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, and welcome to Thought Leader Thursday. My name is Reverend Dr. Pjae Stanley, and it is just such a joy to see all your beautiful faces here today. We have a fabulous guest. She's been here before. You all know her. She's our executive director for ANTN, for those of you who are members of ANTN. She's just involved in so many things, and she's just a marvelous person. Many of you, I think, are she's your teacher, she's your advisor, she's so many things. She's just an amazing person, and she's got a great story to tell today. So we are so glad to have her here. Is there anyone that is moved to pray us in? Okay, thank you, Reverend Sherry.
So just breathing into the truth of oneness. The oneness that is all of creation, that is the one mind of inspiration, creativity, imagination. And realizing that each person on this screen is a point of consciousness in that mind. Because of that, we have instantaneous and complete access to infinite wisdom, unlimited guidance, and a never-stopping flow of inspiration. And that's where this activity comes from. Thought Leader Thursday springs from divine mind. And so I recognize that only wisdom can be expressed here. Only beauty and joy and love can be experienced here. And only truth can be spoken here. And for all of this, I am grateful without bounds. Knowing that now is all there is. That there is only one life and we are it. That the universe is always listening and always responding and only has a one-word vocabulary. And the word is yes. Yes, yes, yes. So it is with unlimited gratitude that I release this word into the law, knowing it is already done. So it is. So I
So it is. So it is. Thank you so much, Dr. Sherry. Appreciate you. Yes. Thank you. So just a quick thing. I wanted to encourage questions and comments. Michelle has a wonderful talk that she wants to do there, or sharing today. And I'm sure there'll be questions when she and I talked. I had lots of questions, so I'm sure you will too. So we do encourage questions and comments, and so I will be asking that as we move forward. And even if I don't ask, just raise your hand, and we will call on you. So we have Reverend Dr. Michele Whittington here with us today, and her vision for her life is to travel her ever ascending spiritual journey and serve others with love, compassion, and humor as they travel theirs. She obtained her Religious Science Ministerial Credential as well as a Doctorate of Divinity from Emerson Institute Ministerial School, and served as the Senior Minister of Creative Living Fellowship, a religious science church and teaching center in Phoenix, Arizona for almost 22 years. She stepped down from that pulpit in 2018 and now actively lives her vision through her company, Unleash Your Life Consulting, and by serving us, Anton, as our executive director. And so we welcome her today to talk to us about operationalizing, did I say that right? I stumbled over that many times. Operationalizing love. And the question is whether humanity will consciously follow the law of love. I do not know. But that need not disturb me. The law will work just as the law of gravitation works, whether we accept it or not. Mahatma Gandhi. So in January of this year, Reverend Dr. Michelle spent a week in where?
Ahmedabad, India.
Thank you.
Ahmedabad.
Ahmedabad,
Mhm.
Ahmedabad, India, attending the Gandhi 3.0. I love that 3.0 leadership retreat. And in this month's Thought Leader Thursday, she's going to join us to share some of the ways in which Gandhi answered this question: how do we operationalize love? And explore how leaders from across the world and from all walks of life are answering that question today. And to ask ourselves that very same question. And so the trip was life changing for Michelle. And during our time together, she's hopes to give you a glimpse of the profound impact that that trip had on her, and that you too might be touched and transformed. Wow, wow, wow. So the question, of course, for me is share with us how you even got there. Let's begin by how you even got to India. What took you there in the first place?
Yeah, begin at the beginning, right? That's not a bad,
Yes, how about that?
not a bad thing to do. Begin at the beginning. So ANTN has an annual retreat, and we had our annual retreat in 2023 at Unity Village, as we always do. And there was a beautiful young man there at the retreat whose name is Nemo Patel.
Mm,
Nemo has, some of you may recognize that name, or when I tell you why you might know him, you might realize you know who he is. He has collaborated on a number of musical pieces with Daniel Nahmod and planting seeds. He's a hip hop singer. Well, he used to be a hip hop singer, does many other things now, but he's added a whole hip hop piece to Daniel's Planting Seeds. And then probably the most famous video that the two of them made is Grateful, which if you have not seen the Grateful video, you want to look that up. So Nemo was at our retreat. And at the end of the retreat, before he left, he went, "Come here, Michelle, come here. I want to ask you something." And he said, "I'm involved with an organization called Service Space." And if you want to look that up, it's servicespace.org. And he said every year they host an invitation-only leadership retreat in India. And I think you would be a good candidate to come to that. And I was taken aback and blown away and terrified, because India has not ever been on my bucket list. I know it's on many people's bucket list, but not mine. And anyway, he said, if you're interested in learning more about it, I'll have the leader of it send you some info. The leader did. And so ultimately, it took a minute, but ultimately I said yes. And that's how I got there.
excellent. So, so just start at the beginning and share what you want to share about what you discovered and what happened there. You already shared with me about the great leaders and what great company you were in. So there's just so much to go on, but wherever you want to start.
Sure. And so I want to say one thing before I even start, and that is I could spend this entire time because there's so much I could say.
Yes,
But I really want you, PJ, or those of you on here, to stop, raise your hand, ask me a question, so that I am responding to what you want to hear versus what I
right,
want to tell you.
right, right.
Or if you have a
Absolutely.
question about something. So just please do that. I will start by saying that there was a running joke once we were all gathering and we're sitting around having food and having casual conversations. We realized there was a common theme among all of us. And that common theme was we had no idea why we were there. We
I
had
love
no
it.
idea what we were
Just said
in
yes.
for. We just said yes because of the person who invited us. And we trusted that person, and we all knew that there would be something for us in this that would change our lives, but we had no idea. So that was kind of a running joke. We don't know why we're here, but we're all here. There were 40 leaders from around the world. And then there were 35 volunteers, also from around the world, who were there to support everything that happened that week. And they also fully participated in all of our activities. So they not only fully participated in very long days, they then had early mornings and late nights doing what they needed to do to prepare for the next day, set things up, et cetera, and make sure that we were beautifully served. So then, and then I'll get into details here, but then at the end of the retreat, it was all done, 5 days. We all had a collective view of, we have no idea how we're going to talk about this. We have no idea how we're going to put into words what happened here.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's taken me some time to be able to put, and I still can't fully put into words what happened, because it was so internal. It was so deep and beautiful and profound that there aren't words. But you know, because you all know me, you know, I will find words. I will find a word or two to be able to describe.
We're confident. We are
Yeah,
confident.
right. Exactly. We don't need to worry about that. So there were many themes and threads that ran throughout this. So I picked one for today, and I'll
Good.
underneath that we'll touch on a couple of the other ones. But the question of how do we operationalize love following the principles of Gandhi. So this was called the Gandhi 3.0. Don't ask me why 3.0. I don't know the answer to that question. I wish I knew it, but I don't. It was called, so it was based on Gandhian leadership principles. How did Gandhi lead and make massive social change completely non-violently?
Yeah.
And I want to even set the stage here by saying that word nonviolence is used all the time to describe him and what he did. But digging into who he was more than I ever knew, understanding how he operated more than I ever knew, because I'm not a Gandhi scholar, I haven't deeply studied him. What I realize is that it is so much more than nonviolence. It is so much deeper than not being violent. It is coming from this profound sense of oneness, union, and connection with all beings, which we could, if we wanted to put one word to that, we would say love.
Yeah. I just have a quick question before you go too much further. When we first started talking about it, I didn't even understand. What does it mean to operationalize love? You were getting there?
Yeah. That is where I'm going, PJ. Perfect.
Okay,
Right. So love is such a big concept, right? It's this gigantic concept, and we all have our own view of it and what it means and what it doesn't mean. And for him, it meant, and this is what operationalizing love means. It means, how do I bring this concept of love, which is based on oneness and unity, into the world in a tangible, boots on the ground way? That's what that term means. How do I love in a tangible, visible, you can see it way?
Huh. I love the answer to that one.
Yeah. So he had, so I was thinking I wanted to say one more thing about that, and it slipped my mind. So we will
It'll come back.
Yep, it'll come back if it needs to.
Yeah.
We explored what the leader of this organization, Service Space, called, and I don't know if these are Gandhi's words or his words, but called Gandhi's design principles. That Gandhi had 4 design principles that helped him operationalize love, and anyone else who would follow these design principles. And so the week that we spent was talking about these concepts, doing some spiritual practice around these concepts, and very often, most of the time when we were having lectures, it was from leaders who were there. There weren't experts being brought in. And by the way, we weren't being taught theory. We weren't being taught leadership theory. It wasn't that at all. It was what's being done in the world to operationalize love. And let's see, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples from some of the leaders that blew my mind. So it was arranged around, the week was arranged around these 4 design principles. Okay, everybody with me so far? You want to
Great.
know what the heck the design principles are, right? Right. Yeah, let's jump in. All right. So the first one is actually Gandhi called it self-rule, self-rule. And then the subheading of that is, and you will not have a clue what this means. I didn't either when I first heard it, but then they unpacked it. Deep cast versus broadcast.
Yes.
So the main heading is self-rule, and then underneath that is deep cast versus broadcast. Okay, what in the world does that mean?
Ah, ah,
I'm going to reverse them and describe
yes,
broadcast
yes,
first
yes,
and then deep cast. So
yes.
when I say this, you're going to go, oh, yeah, of course, that's what that means. Broadcast basically means me, you, us, Gandhi, whoever, broadcasting to the world how great we are and what we're doing and all the good that we're bringing. And look at me, aren't I great? And as we talked about that, I was, my little brain that thinks in a certain way is like, well, I agree. No, we don't want to be grandiose, but there's something about having a healthy self-esteem and a healthy knowing of who we are, and and a willingness to share that. And so I had a little, not a lot of trouble, but just a little trouble trying to sort that out. Where's the balance between not broadcasting and also not, as Jesus said, hide your light under a bushel.
Exactly. You
Right?
know, yeah.
How do you shine your light in this context? Well,
Exactly. And I think I'm just going to step in there. Just the one of the reasons that one of the hard time as you were talking to me about it, and what I have difficulty is because we're serving people all the time. And part of the service is by example and to talk about the experiences that you've had, because then they kind of understand, oh, you're not just talking from a book. This has actually been your experience. And so it's always this going back and forth for me with, well, how much is bragging and how much is sharing for them to try to understand what I'm talking about.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
I just want to make that comment.
yeah,
Exactly. That's
no,
difficult.
and that's kind of where I was as well in this whole thing.
Right.
And then we went to deep cast, and then I saw in action what this looks like. So deep cast, and again, when I say it, you'll go, oh yeah, of course, that's what that means. Deeply, deeply, deeply going within, deeply going within, and clearing out, clearing out, clearing out what doesn't serve the highest, that doesn't serve the divine in me and through me and to you who are also the divine.
Mm.
Deeply going within and cleaning house. And cleaning house. That's a deep cast.
What thoughts or questions do any of you have so far about what she's saying? Anyone? Because it's definitely bringing some stuff up for me. Yeah, Patricia.
I just wanted to clarify when you talked about India, the first thing I wrote down was the caste spelling as caste, but I'm thinking from what you're saying that caste is spelled cast. Is that correct?
That is
Oh,
correct. Yes, 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 yes. Deep cast, like cast your net, inside deeply. Yes, yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Patricia, for clarifying that. Yeah. Any
Lisa,
other?
I see Lisa's hand.
My question is, when you say you need to clean house, do you mean cleaning house by the resentments and grudges and prejudices you might have? Or do you mean like getting rid of the anger you have and so on and so forth?
There's not an or there, Lisa. There's an and. Yeah. And also the ego. The ego, and there's all different descriptions and definitions for ego, but in this context, it was that part in us that wants to be seen, that wants to be noticed, that wants to be recognized for the good things that we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah. And go ahead, PJ.
No. Go ahead.
Oh, I see Sherry's hand.
Exactly. That's what I was going to, if you were finished with that, I was going to pull on.
Let me take my hand down. Yeah. My question is, what I think I'm hearing you say is that the difference between broadcast and deepcast is the difference between a small s self and a big S self.
I think that's a great way to say that. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. And just
So
just as a note,
yep.
just
Go
as
ahead.
a note, if you want to speak or you have a comment, could you use the emoji thing to put your hand up, because it's harder to see where your hand is if we don't do that. It kind of puts you in line, and I can see it easier to call on you, because I don't want you to get your question left behind or not be able to make the comments you want to make. Thank you. Yeah, just a little housekeeping. Yeah.
Perfect. So there's a quote I want to share with you, and then I want to give you at least one, probably just one, so we have time to get to the other four, the other three things, right? Right. We could spend the whole time just on this
We
one.
can.
For sure. We
Yeah.
absolutely could. But so you all have heard, because we've seen it, we've quoted it, be the change you wish to see in the world, right? The Gandhi quote, be the change you wish to see in the world. Well, guess what, folks? He did not say that.
I love it.
He did not say those exact words. He said something much longer that had that as the essence of it. If you wanted to boil it down into a sound bite, then it could be that. The thinking is that perhaps his grandson paraphrased and made into a soundbite this quote that I want to share with you. And this is really about deep casting. So Gandhi did say, and this was published in a 1913 journal for Indian Opinion was the name of the journal, and this was the article. He said, "We but mirror the world. All the tendencies present in the outer world are to be found in the world of our body. If we could change ourselves, the tendencies in the world would change also. As a man changes his own nature, so does the attitude of the world change toward him. This is the divine mystery supreme. A wonderful thing it is, and the source of our happiness. We need not wait to see what others do."
Wow. Wow.
Isn't that beautiful?
Just is. Just
So
is.
that's what he really said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul, you have a comment?
Michelle, is that quote out in the world?
Yes, it is. Yes,
Okay.
it is. Because it is, because they quoted it at our retreat and I didn't get it completely written down, and I Googled it and looked it up and I found it.
Got it. Thanks.
So yeah.
Yeah. It does. It does have. It does have a. Yeah, you're right about the sound bites issue, because this is more reflective of for me. I don't know what anybody else, but for me, what it harkens back to, you don't control anything but your own thinking and your own heart, and you just do what's yours to do. You don't have to worry about what everybody else is doing. There's a whole transformative thing that happens when you love and when you behave, whatever. And so just do yours. Just do your part. That makes perfect sense to me. Thank you for that, for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
So they were these amazing people. I mean, humbling, very humbling to me to see the quality of the people that were at this retreat and the work they're doing in the world. And I came up with several examples I wanted to share with you, and I'm only going to give you one because it'll take too long. But there was one woman, beautiful, young. She looked so young, Asian woman, so quiet, so unassuming. She was just there. She didn't talk a lot, but had this beautiful aura of love about her. She was just impressive to see her. And as I said before, much of the time that we had lectures, it was from people who were there telling about what they did. So this is this woman's story. This is what I mean by someone who has done the deep cast and does not broadcast. But she did tell her story, PJ, as you were mentioning before, as an example, right? And they asked her to share her story. Here's her story in a nutshell. She was a high-powered broker, I guess that might be the word, on Wall Street, brokering massive billion-dollar deals. And she described this one time they were in a conference room all night trying to figure out how to eke the pennies on the dollar for their client so that the client gets the most out of this sale. And they had all these ideas they were throwing around. We could do this, we could do that. And ultimately the decision was made that they were going to release 150 employees from the company that this client was buying. And that would get them more money for their, save the money. So she left that morning exhausted because they'd spent all night, and her heart was just heavy. She's like, really? That was the best decision we could make, was to fire 150 people? She went into her boss the next day and said, how do you do this work? And he said, as long as I'm not throwing up, I'm good. So she kind of took that, she kind of took that as, well, okay, as long as I can literally stomach it, I'll do it. And so she kept working, and I don't remember now for how much longer. It was probably a couple of years, kept doing it. And she had other incidences where her stomach was just like, ugh. But one day she got on the elevator in the morning to come to work, getting on the elevator to go to her floor, and had to get off because she had to bolt to the bathroom because she was losing her breakfast. And after that, she walked into her boss's office and said, I'm done. I cannot do this anymore. You know what this woman does now? This unassuming, you would never know. This woman is still on Wall Street. She raises billions, that's a B as in boy, billions of dollars now to support conscious entrepreneurs. People who want to create a business that make a difference in the world. And she rubs elbows with billionaires. She has so much funding available to her because of who she is. And there are people, I know we don't think it. This, by the way, retreat was very encouraging to me to see what is happening in the world, because this doesn't get news, right? We don't hear this on the news. But there are billions and billions of dollars wanting to be invested in organizations, companies, corporations that are doing good in the world. And that's what she now does. That woman has done her deep cast. She doesn't broadcast. She's just a silent force for good in the world. Yeah.
And that's just such an interesting thing that her boss said, as long as I can stomach it. Seriously, that's your litmus test?
That was the litmus test. As long as you can stomach it. Yep.
All right.
Yep. Okay, number 2, and this will be a shorter one, but it is shorten. Again, so there's an idea, and then underneath it, there's a concept that we'll understand. So Gandhi's second design principle was shorten the gap between producer and consumer. What? Shorten the gap. How does that apply to us? Well, here we go. Shorten the gap between producer and consumer so that, this is the important part, you create relationships, not transactions. Relationships, not transactions. Transactions, of course, mean I give you this, so you give me that. I do this for you, so you do that for me. A relationship is I care about you, you care about me. We're in this together.
Right.
We're in this together.
Right. That makes sense. That makes sense.
We did an exercise, or we had a concept underneath this idea. Oh, Sherry has her hand up. Let me go to that, Sherry, before I go on.
One of the volunteer things I do is with the Global Heart of Peace Initiative from Centers for Spiritual Living. And right now in the Gandhi season for nonviolence, my job is to post a meme every day. And the meme for today says, make your interactions with people transformational, not transactional.
Wow. Yes. Right. Right.
And there it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drop the mic. Sherry just said it. There it is. Yeah.
Exactly. Now I just said to them quickly, when Robert came to my center to speak, that was one of the things that he talked about in terms of just your relationship with your center. It's not a transaction. It's not a transaction. I'm going to come and give you money because you've given me this, that, or the other things. That's not it. And so it's just real interesting that this is coming up a lot more now. There seems to be a need for us to understand that more, not transactionalizing relationships, whatever the relationships are. And I love this producer, the people who are creating things as well, and the people who are consuming them, that we are in relationship. That's fantastic.
Carla.
I'm testing my mic. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just to backtrack to your previous step, there is a challenge, a principle, a saying in Al-Anon where you are expected, asked to do something good in the world. Can you do something good in the world for someone, organization, whatever, and not tell anybody about it?
Mm. Mm.
That has been a very challenging act to do in life ever since I learned about it, but I continue to endeavor to do that, and that's what that deep cast to me has done, or that's how I interpret it.
Love it. Thank you.
Beautiful, Carla. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
I want to share a quick example of a practice that we did under this relationships versus transactions. And another concept that got thrown out a lot was me, we, us. Me, we, us. The me is going to be more, what's in it for me, and that's going to create transactional relationships, right? Me. The we is we're getting better. It's better, but even sometimes in the we, I'll do this if you do that. The us is no, we are definitely in this together. So they took us out there. So 75 of us or so, they took us out on the lawn. There was a huge expanse of a beautiful, the grounds we were on were unbelievable. That's another story. So gorgeous. And anyway, we're out on the grounds and the leader said, okay, listen up, everybody. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to lead you. And when I raise my hand, you're going to just walk around. And then when I put my hand down, you're going to stop. Now, they didn't tell us why we were doing this. They just said, come on, let's go outside. So that's what we did. He raises his hand, we walk, he puts his hand down, we stop. He raises his hand, we walk, puts his hand down, we stop. That's one leader. That's a me, right? That's a me. I'm gonna describe what was happening as we were doing it. That's a me, a leader saying, this is what you're gonna do. Then he said, okay, now next, when I say go, you're gonna start walking and you're gonna pay attention to each other. And when you see anybody stop walking, then you stop. And when you see anybody start walking, you start. I'm like, okay, so that's what we did. And you just stopped, you started, depending on the other people. This was a we. Okay, we're in a we situation here. And then he said, all right, everybody stop. Third round. I just want you to start and stop walking on your own. And you guys, I am not exaggerating. I have my hand on a Bible or on the science of my textbook or whatever book we hold dear to swear to you, this is what happened. After just a few minutes, not very long, 75 people were starting and stopping at the same time.
Wow. I wasn't expecting to hear that. I wasn't expecting to hear that. Wow.
That's an us. That's an us. No transaction happening there. We were in relationship, quiet, completely internal relationship with each other.
That's an activity I'd like to try. That is amazing. Seriously. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So everybody take a breath. I know you didn't have the experience, and I did, but I'm hoping that just hearing about that is that's a take your breath away kind of situation. That was one of the places, like, I don't know how I could ever describe how that actually felt, but it was amazing.
Dr. Laura has a comment.
I just want to make sure I got this right because I got to do this. So when you're in the phase, the leader raises their hand, and when he does it down, they stop. That's the me. The we is the instructions are when you see a person stop or when a person go, you do the same. And then for the us, this is where okay. So whenever you see for the us, you just stop and start whenever you want. And then the flow happens. Is that correct?
That is what happened for us. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Just all you're going to say is you just stop.
Just walk.
You don't say anything. You just feel it. Is that it?
Yeah. Yeah. So the instructions were just start and stop walking. Just start walking. Stop when you want. Start up again when you want. You just walk. Now, let me just say one thing. And I don't know if this had an impact or not, but this happened for us several days into a deep connection with each other. So I don't know if you put a group of strangers together and in the first 5 minutes did this, if that would have the same impact. I'm not sure. I don't know if it would or not, but I will tell you that for us, it was probably on day 4, maybe day 5, that we did that together.
Wow. Because
we had been creating relationships with each other that whole time. They called it, by the way, Joanne, I see your hand, but let me just say this. They called it murmuration. Murmuration. I expanded my vocabulary on this trip.
Yeah.
Murmuration. And actually, if you look that up, it really refers to swallows. I think that's the bird. Swallows. And you will see they form these amazing, I'm seeing some of you shake your head. These amazing patterns in the sky, like ribbons in the sky and movement that they just do. And that was the big example. And then, and actually after looking at that, then we went out without really explanation, but then we went out and did that exercise. So you can look up murmuration swallows and you'll see all these images of them, of these birds making these patterns in the sky. Joanne, and then Kate.
Thank you. I was just curious, how long did it take when you were doing us before you were all doing it together?
And that's,
like a minute, 5 minutes?
That's such a great question. Honestly, Joanne, I don't remember. I don't remember, but honestly, it did not take that long. It did not take that long. A minute or two, maybe.
Yeah, I can imagine in a space like that, time doesn't even, it stands still. Like you don't have any understanding of time because that's not what it's not a linear situation. Yeah. It's a murmuring situation. So I don't know.
It's a murmuration was happening.
It's a murmuration. So. Kate, do you have a question or a thought?
Oh, you're muted, Kate.
Darn it. Okay. Well, I'm wondering what it was like during the we when, you'd stop or start when somebody else did.
What it felt like?
Yeah. Was it chaotic or it was okay or?
No, it was fine. We did fine. I was paying attention to me, right? And I was just looking around, looking for somebody. Oh, they stopped, so I'm going to stop. Oh, they're going to go, so I'm going to go. But it felt normal, right? Because that's what we do. How often do we take the lead from somebody else? So it didn't feel awkward or anything.
It also sounds like it's a conscious effort because you're having to look around.
Yeah.
As opposed to, doesn't sound like the murmuration was necessarily a conscious thing.
No, it was not.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just thinking about, I'm looking at it in my mind's eye and thinking I'll be looking around to see. So I'm actively trying to do something as opposed to just feeling something happening. I don't know. It certainly whoever said that they're going to take the, who is it, Laura? Yeah, I
Laura,
feel
yeah.
like I need to write notes too, so we can try this again. That sounds great. Dr. Sherry.
I'm just curious, Dr. Michele, what was the space like that you were doing this walking in? Was it like a park? Was it a piece of flat land with nothing on it? Was it city grounds? What was it like?
Well, so we were at a retreat center. So it was the grounds of the retreat center, and it was a big expansive lawn. It was pretty flat, surrounded by incredible foliage.
So people could walk in any direction, and okay, that's what I was.
A lot of room. We had a lot of room. Mm-hmm. Okay, so here we go. Let me move to the third concept, which is, I think, related to deep cast. Maybe it is a third concept, but for me, it's similar, if you will, has some common threads to deep cast, and it is called soul force. Having soul force, SOUL force. And yes, I just want to take a quick note to say thank you, Michael, for putting that at least most of that quote in the chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. Soul force. Soul force was defined as a wisdom, inner knowing, inner strength that we have when we, and here's the key phrase, abide in the eternal. When we abide in the eternal. So I'm just right now, I love the opportunity to talk about this, because I'm just having an aha this very moment of the difference between deep cast and soul force. Deep cast is clearing out. Deep cast is clearing out the stuff, as Lisa said, the anger, the resentment, the whatever, the ego. Get that out of the way so that you can deeply abide in the eternal and have the power of soul force. It is soul force that allowed Gandhi to do what he did. He had a profoundly big soul force. His soul force allowed him to say these words. Having flung aside the sword, there is nothing except the cup of love which I can offer to those who oppose me. It is by offering that cup that I expect to draw them close to me.
Yes.
Can you just put that in the context of our world today? And how, if we, just even the 31 people on this call, if we could fling aside our swords and have nothing but the cup of love to offer those we oppose, it is by offering that cup that we could draw them to us. Whoa.
Yeah.
There was a couple of amazing examples. So Gandhi did a lot of work before he freed India from England. He did a lot of work in South Africa, working for Indians who lived in South Africa to get some rights. And he had there was a general of the South African army who was his opponent. It was his opponent. And that was a term, a word that Gandhi used. I know in our New Thought, we don't like saying opposition and against and all that. We don't like using those words, but those were his words. So I'm using his words. He had an opponent who was a general. And the general said, when all was said and done, it was done, and Gandhi got what he wanted for the Indians who lived in South Africa. He really helped them get rights that they did not have before his work. That general who opposed him said publicly, "I was honored to lose to that man."
Yeah.
That's the power of soul force.
Yeah.
I was honored to lose to that man. It was a story was also told about Gandhi that and I don't know who he was talking to, and maybe he wasn't talking to anyone in particular, but that he said, I oppose what you are doing, and it is wrong, and I will fight. I'm not sure that's the word he used, but I will say it now for lack of a better one. I will fight to oppose, not literally fight, but I will do what I can to oppose what you are doing and change it because it is wrong. But I love you.
Thank you. Yes,
But
that's
I love
exactly
you.
it. Exactly. So what I'm thinking is this exactly the opposition is about the behavior. Because if you're abiding in the eternal, you see the connection. There's no opposition to you, because we're one. We're one. But the challenge for me as a human being is to see that in the middle of behaviors that hurt my heart, that go against what I believe, the values that I hold. And so that for me on a regular basis is the challenge, to remember who I'm with. I'm with the eternal, regardless of the behavior. That's a ongoing challenges for me.
It is, and Laura, I see your hand on. Just 1 second. The thing that really struck me deeply, deeply, deeply was this ability that Gandhi had to stand in complete love and oppose that which he did not believe was for the highest good. Right? And he did it very actively. I mean, he wasn't sitting in the corner meditating, although I do want to tell you something about that, for him to get that soul power. But he was an activist, right? There was a term thrown around called heartivism. Heartivism, like activism, but with heartivism. How do we be advocates, activists, but from the heart? That was a whole nother thing. We got t-shirts that said heartivism. Yeah, Laura.
To me, that sounds like boundaries, unacceptable behavior from groups or from people, and then deciding what you're going to do with it. You still love them, but what boundary are you going to set up and what action are you going to take? Was that discussed at all? Is accept?
Not that word, but yes, I think you're correct. You know, this was social boundary, right? This was social change that he was making, change in government. Yeah. So how do we get soul force? Well, of course, I mean, you know, I'm going to talk to the choir here. We do our spiritual work. We do our spiritual practices. But let me just give you a quick example of Gandhi's soul force, and then I'll get to the fourth point very quickly. Gandhi, as I said, spent many years in South Africa doing what he did there. And of course, the Indian leaders in India were paying attention to what he was doing. And they're like, come home, because we want to be freed from England. Come home and do your thing here. I'm not sure they said it quite that way, but that's Michele paraphrasing. So finally he did. He returned to India, and they said, okay, lead the charge. Lead the charge. Free India from England. Get us out from under this rule. And he said, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to do that.
Okay.
And so he and 78 of his followers went to this little house in Ahmedabad, India, which is where we were, and we physically visited the Gandhi ashram that is in Ahmedabad is around that little house where he and 78 of his followers, I'll call them, spent time in deep internal work. Now, when I say spent time, I don't mean an hour or 2 or 3 or a week. They spent 15 years. Close your mouths. He spent 15 years.
Wow.
Preparing himself to do that work. And the leadership of India kept going, come on, let's go. We need you. We need you. We need you. He's like, I'm not ready. I cannot do it yet.
Oh my God. I love it. Because how
15
often
years.
is it that we want to be someplace we're not? and step into something we're not ready for. Wow.
And you know, we're probably not going to free a nation from oppression. That's probably not what we're going to do. And we may not need to spend 15 years, but just the idea of deeply, deeply, deeply connecting with my soul force. Like you said, Dr. PJ, sometimes we want to barge out and we're not ready yet.
Not ready.
We're not ready. Develop soul force.
Yeah.
And there's a profound ripple effect when one person, one little skinny Hindi man, right, has powerful soul force.
Whew.
Ooh.
Nice. Nice.
And you know, we like, and I saw something in the chat about doing something at the retreat on this. Bill,
Yeah.
the retreat
Yeah.
co-chair, and Paul, Paul,
And yeah.
we could go a lot deeper in all this. So the last one that I want to share though, is be a benefit to all. And remember, going back to our beginning, this is all about how do we operationalize love. Be a benefit to all. And Carla, Dr. Carla, I love what you said before about the learning that you had. Be that silent benefit. Not broadcasting, look at me, aren't I great? But benefit all. Benefit all. And one of the leaders who was there and was asked to speak about what he did, his name is J. Cohen Gilbert. He created, and this blew my mind. Some of you may know about this already. I had no idea. This man, a long time ago, years ago, decades ago, with his partner, decided that there has to be a better model for corporations. You know, a corporation's main goal, only goal really, is to maximize profits for their shareholders. That is the corporation's job. And Jay and his business partner, best friend and business partner, said there has to be a better model. There has to be a better way to do this. And they actually got passed a law to create a new kind of corporation, because you've probably heard of S Corps and C Corps. Did you know there's a B Corp? B.
No, I did not.
Well, Ruth is shaking her head. I love that you knew that.
And so is Kate.
B stands for beneficial. A beneficial corporation is a corporation that has at its core the desire to benefit all, not just the shareholders, but they call it the stakeholders. Stakeholders are anyone who has anything to do with this corporation, from employees to customers to vendors to the environment. Everyone, the mission of a B Corp is that everyone involved benefits. Oh my gosh. Robert. And you're muted. Oh, good. Yeah, you know that. Yeah.
I love the idea of B Corps. And if my understanding is correct, it is also something, not something that you can claim. It is something that is awarded. And you can nominate your own company, or someone else has to nominate your company. But it's not, oh, we're a B Corp and that's what we're going to do. And we're going to be on. It is something that is awarded because you have proven these points and demonstrated that.
I love it. So you're saying you have to be it first.
Well, let me say something real quick, and then I see Ruth and Cherry. So there's two different things. Excuse me. There's the designation by the government of B Corp. And of course, you have to jump through whatever the hoops are to qualify as a B Corp, as a corporate structure, B Corp. But there is also an organization that this man who was at our retreat started. It's called the B, just the letter B, Lab, L-A-B. You can look them up online, the B Lab. And they certify B Corps. And that's the hoops that you're talking about, I think, Robert, is to be a certified B Corp. I want to give you a few statistics on that, but Ruth, I see your hand, and Sherry.
Thank you. You don't have to be a corporation to be a B company. In Oregon and many other states, any kind of company can become a B company. So you can be a partnership, you can be a sole proprietorship, you don't have to be a corporation. And you have to file 2 annual reports. If you're a corporation, you have to file the financial annual report, but then every year you do people, profits, and planet as well, to maximize the benefits to all. And I just love the concept, and I am so happy that someone had the energy to make it happen. Thank you for sharing that, Michele.
And I was so blown away, honored to meet the man who did that, right? Oh my gosh, who is so humble, by the way, and does not broadcast. So humble. Yeah, Sherry.
So my question is, from the audience here, most of us, not you, but most of us are running nonprofits or working with or in nonprofits. Can nonprofits be certified B Corps also?
Ann Caldwell, who knows about stuff like this, is shaking her head yes. I don't know the answer to that, but Ann, talk to us.
It actually started out that way. It started out as nonprofits. I haven't dealt with it in a couple of years since it came into existence, but I know that the very first process that I went through certification with one of my clients was a nonprofit.
Because nonprofits are also often corporations, right? I mean, they're corporations. So yeah. Ruth, do you have your hand up still? Are you?
Thank you. No, that's again. So yes, it's a different set of requirements, etc. But nonprofit corporations are already benefit corporations, so they don't have to go through the same hoops. You are formed to benefit through education, through charity, or mutual benefit as a nonprofit. And so it's built in. You can become an Earth Care corporation or any number of things around that as a nonprofit. But literally, you just need to write it into your bylaws and live it.
Nice.
So guys, we are coming up again.
We are.
Time. I have one thing I want to say. So Lisa, can you be real quick? PJ, is it okay? I just sort of took over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. No worries.
Well, I think we're talking about really big things that are happening, but I just wanted to share real quickly an experience I'm going through in the last 6 months or whatever. There is a war going on in the Middle East, and it's if you try to get people to talk to one another, you're likely to get yelled at. It doesn't matter which side you're on in this. And so I kept going in and kept going in to myself, and I kept remembering that there is a line in the Course in Miracles: if you do not have something to give, you can't give it. So if you do not have the peace within you, you can't give the peace. So I went deeper and deeper to find the people who I can express peace with. And I found a lot of people in the Washington area, Muslims and Jews, who were talking to one another. So that simple act of sitting down and having coffee. And I went to one such thing that talked about anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. And they had rabbis and imams there, and they were all talking. And there was a organization called the Sisterhood of the Salam Shalom. And they are obviously
We have
Muslim.
like about 1 more minute, Lisa, so we really need to wrap that up.
Okay. Anyways, they came together and prayed at Auschwitz. And it's the only time that Jews and Muslims are known to have prayed together in Auschwitz. And these simple acts are profound. And the world bends towards these women.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful. Thanks for doing that work.
Gandhi said this, and this is perfect, a segue, Lisa, to what you just said. The simplest acts of kindness are by far more powerful than 1,000 heads bowing in prayer. So Bill has put in the chat. No, Bill, would you put that link in the chat? That's the B Corp link. Thank you. Bill, put in the chat. I want to offer you guys a challenge. I want to offer you a 30-day kindness challenge. I know we're all kind people, but I want us to intentionally do kind acts every single day. And so I found on the internet a 30-day kindness challenge. Bill just put it in the drive. My challenge to you is go operationalize love by doing these 4 things, but be a benefit to all by being kind. Thank you guys so much.
Michele, thank you all. So thank you for being here. This was just lovely. Obviously, we were just running out of time. It's so much great things to say. Thank you. Please, you guys remember to sign up for Thought Leader Thursdays. Are we still doing the book? Do we still have time for that, Michele?
Sunday,
Okay.
got to get us your article
Okay,
by Sunday.
get your article in on Sunday. Check out the website. Thank you all so much for being here. Bill, is there anything I should be saying real quick?
All the stuff that needs to be said is on the website. Visit it. It's antn.org, ANTN.org.
I love it.
Spell it.
Thank you all so much for being here. Michele, fantastic for sharing. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.